and welcome back. So a while ago I shared a video where I shared my thoughts on why I went back to drawing with a real pencil. And since then my process has actually evolved, so I'm not just drawing with a pencil, I'm also back to painting with watercolors and gouache. And I'm still painting I hate that word, digitally. I'm still painting digitally though. And yes, what I wanted to do here now is what I promised in that other video, and that is to show how I go from drawing something with a pencil and then scanning it in and coloring it in Procreate. And I'm actually planning to do a bigger underwater kind of situation. I'm thinking of a girl riding a whale, and then I'm having some algae and kind of a coral reef. And yes, I thought I might do some warm-up sketches here, and maybe some of these plants or fish I will draw will eventually also make their way into my final illustration. So I will do that now, and I won't be talking too much while I'm drawing, but I will lead you through the process. And I've got my A5 paper here, and a Faber-Castell pencil. It's a B pencil, and I will just start drawing some underwater elements. Now I really feel that with these you have to get into kind of a flow because they are floating in the water. So I won't be hesitating too much and just kind of imagine a bit how they waver in the waves. It's not wave underwater, it's more like the current. And then maybe some fish, just something kind of simple. I'm making these fish up, so I'm pretty sure a fish like this or a similar, at least a similar shape like this exists. But this is not an actual fish. Don't even really use a reference photo here. Which is still quite new to me, so I loved to work from reference photos since they made me feel more secure. But I definitely want to go into another direction there. Maybe have one smaller. No, it's not smaller, it's like more slim and elongated fish. Okay, so maybe so what I always do when I draw with a pencil is that I repeat the lines I've done originally, like so. And I just do that because I like the look of it. And I always try to make sure that I vary the thickness of my lines as well. So I have thicker parts here where I press down the pencil a bit more, and then I have more light parts as well. Something is not working here. So I then make sure that I have some texture that I created with the pencil. So that can be hatching or cross hatching. I don't use a lot of cross hatching, I prefer hatching. And some mark making. And especially with this type of algae, it could look nice to have these kinds of irregular circles in there. Okay, so I will be doing the same over here. And like I said in the other video, this is something I definitely didn't enjoy doing on the iPad. I think I really missed the noise. I mean, you can't get that with your pencil or your Apple Pencil rubbing on the surface of the iPad. Even though I've got a screen protector, so it does not really have that very strange glass feeling it had at the beginning, but still. So here I actually want to, can't find the right word, kind of color these leaves in. And I feel I made the first one a bit too dark, so I want to just very lightly press down my pencil and do these kind of circular movements. When I'm drawing, I'm often jumping from one place to another, especially when I'm doing something which is a bit more repetitive. Like, so for example, I would start filling out this leaf and then I would notice something and go over there. And I really try to force myself right now to not do that anymore because I'm quite sure kind of feels like I do have an ADHD brain sometimes, which I probably have. So I really try to force myself kind of to finish one part of the illustration and not jumping from one place to another, although I feel that maybe this is also something that you just do when you're kind of in a creative process and you just go with the flow and then you notice something and that it probably might be okay. Okay, so here is the last algae. Let's see, I think I might add texture by just repeating that shape like so inside of it. Now I feel that some darker parts are missing here, so I'm repeating some of the lines and pressing down the pencil real hard. Okay, so now for the fish, kind of has his lips here, and then I feel I want to make this, what is it called? I couldn't even say in German. It's a fin? No, it's not. Anyways, you know what I mean. I want to make this or add some strokes to this part. And maybe some here. Want to darken his eye a bit. And add some texture down here to these little fins or flukes or whatever they are. Okay, and maybe also some light scallops as for for a, I don't know these words. What would these be in German? Schuppen. What's Schuppen in English? These are his... Are they actually scallops? Not quite sure. Yes, I think I like that. And maybe I will also add some strokes here to his tail. Okay, and make that a bit darker here. Okay, fish number 1, fish number 2. Oh, that's what I mean. So see, I didn't finish that here. Then I went on to other parts of the fish. I'm not quite sure whether I want him to have some scallops as well. Maybe some stripes could look nice. Aren't there striped fish out there? Probably. Yes, I think I like that. So what I'm normally doing is also going in with a very soft pencil then. This is a 5B. I also sometimes use an 8B, which is even darker, and makes some of these parts that are already dark even darker than before. Because I feel that this makes it even more interesting. And it's just such a small thing to do, to add some more darker parts, some darker parts. And I completely go by intuition here, so I don't think too much about it. I'm not quite sure whether that's for better or for worse, because might be that I sometimes add dark parts where they don't make any sense. But what I just wanted to say, so I don't logically think about where I need shadows. This is not really shadow making anyway, but so what I wanted to say is I do that in a very intuitive way. Okay, so that's it for the drawing part. I will now scan in my drawing and I will meet you there. Okay, so this is the scanner I'm using right now. It's actually my printer and it comes with the scanner. I do own a much better scanner than this one, and that's the Epson Perfection V37, something like that. V370 photo. But the problem is that that one won't work with my MacBook. What I'm doing is I'm using this scanner, which can scan up to 600 dpi, but the quality is not just as good as it was with the Epson Perfection, and that is something you have to keep in mind. I think especially when you print with color, it really makes sense to invest into a good scanner. Anyways, I will be using the scanner of my printer, and I will just put that down here. And then on my iPad I have the software and it says scan here. And this really depends. With this one I know I want to make a large illustration, so I go up to 600 dpi. So the higher the DPI is, the larger you can get your final image. But let me tell you, if you work with Procreate, if your DPI is too high, you don't have a lot of layers and Procreate tends to crash. So with Photoshop, that's no problem. With Procreate, it's sometimes annoying. That's why I often also just scan at 300 dpi. But in this case, I will be using the 600 dpi. And yes, I don't really have to do anything more. I scan in color, even though it will be grayscale. yes, that's just what I do, because I don't really care if there are some parts in there that don't turn out to be completely gray. Scanning it at 600 dpi takes quite a while longer than at 300 dpi. Okay, so here it is. Let me see. No, wait. I will just... I mean, you could do that in Procreate, but I often do it here in the scanning software already. And that is to cut that and also turn it around. Maybe cut that edge here as well. It means that I have lesser work later on. Okay, and that's it. I will just save that. And then I will meet you in a minute and I will show you how I work on my photo. Okay, so this is the scan, and what I will do now is to edit this photo so the line works comes out a bit more clearly, and I also get rid a bit of that background texture, even though I like that. But especially here, I think that's from the bad quality of the scanner. I've got this line here, which I don't want. So I go to edit, and then I will just go through all the first, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 options. So I start with exposure and then often go into both directions. And if I feel, which is the case right now, that it looks a bit better, I will just leave it there. So I bump up the exposure. With brilliance, I will go down a bit because I like the way that makes the line work look. Highlights. Okay, bump that up a bit. Shadows. Can't tell a huge difference. Or maybe I do. Maybe like this. Contrast. Contrast is often a bit tricky. I don't use it that much. Brightness, no. Black point is always helpful with line work because what that does is it makes your line work pop. So I will use, which I often do, I will bump it up high to 100. The next parts are saturation and vibrancy and so on. This only applies to color. So black point is actually the last one I'm using. Let me just count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there are 7. The first 7 options after this is the kind of automatic. After that, the first 7 options is what I'm looking at. So I hit done. And then I will get into Procreate. And let me see. I tap photo and then here it is. So now you have actually 2 options. The first option is quite easy. If you want to give this color, what you can do is to set this layer to linear burn, and I think color burn and multiply probably also work. And if you now have a new layer beneath that, and let me choose this pink and some kind of nice brush. Oh, oops. And now you paint under it. This already works, so you don't have to do a lot more. It shines through. If I were to turn off linear burn and go to normal, as you can see, you can't see the color. Going back to linear burn and it works. Let me see, color burn doesn't work. Darken works, but it doesn't look very good, and multiply would work as well. Okay, so that's one thing I did, especially in the beginning. Nowadays I often get rid of the background. I will show you how that works in a minute. what I also did, if I wanted the line work to have a different color, I went to, let's see, where is it? Curves. And I liked it to be a bit more red. So what I did, I went to red and then bumped that up. And this works quite well, actually. And I now remember that I think this only works if you do a scan that is in color. So if I were to scan that black and white, I think you can't really use this. What is it? I always forget that. You can't use the curves here. Okay, so that's one thing I do. Let me see if that works with blue as well. Oh, no, let's just get back to the original color and then go to curves again, go to blue. Yes, that would work as well. Okay, so that's one quick and easy option. I will delete that and then, oh, no, that's not very clever. So just delete. Delete. So, but what I often do nowadays is that I get rid of the complete background. I learned this trick by Mel Armstrong, and I really wanted you to check her out. She has Skillshare classes and a YouTube channel as well, which I will link somewhere. And she always has these wonderful Procreate and Photoshop hacks. I don't know how she comes up with them, so I really want to give her credit for that. I've been using this hack ever since I discovered it on her channel. So I will set that back to normal, though it will probably also work on linear burn. And the first thing I will do is to just copy that layer. And then I will add a new layer and I will fill that with black. Oh, I'm confused. Where is it? Here. I will fill that with black. And then I will tap on that layer, tap mask. And now I can see this blue here is on the layer mask. So I'm on the layer mask. I will do a 3-finger swipe and I will do a paste. And it pasted the thing I copied before. And then I will do invert. And now pinch these two layers together. And can't really see that now, but I've gotten rid of the background. Now this method retains some of the texture which you might want to have or not, and the hairs I scanned in. So if you want to get rid of that as well, you probably have to work with an eraser. But I often like to keep it. It only annoys me when I try to move around objects because then the texture doesn't match up, but I often keep that here. So I will keep that as my original. And now the nice thing, let me get to white here. The nice thing, what you can do now is to add a clipping mask here, and you can drag in any color that you like. So if you want your line work to be more brown, which I like, you don't have to use the curves and then get some kind of brown that maybe is too vibrant for your taste. Though you could probably undo that then with the hue saturation brightness. But anyways, now you can really choose any kind of color you like for your line work and then put that in the clipping mask. And if I were to pinch these, this is the new color of my line work. So I don't want it to be pink. I want it to be some kind of reddish brown. So again, clipping mask. And yes, that looks good. Okay, so as for coloring, I will probably, maybe you just use 1 or 2 examples to show you how I color in Procreate. Now, right now, this varies. Right now, I like to work with one of Lisa Glance's brushes, and I can't access that right here. What I'm doing here actually is the quick menu, and I show you how to set that up in a video I have. I will link that somewhere as well. And I've got only brushes in my quick menu, and I feel that it's very handy to have quick access to your favorite brushes. So I will be using the grit and grain block and one of my favorite blues, and I will start with maybe that fish. Do I have the grit and grain? I do have. I feel so. And I will just color that in. And what I like about this brush is its texture, and also I like that it is a flat brush. So make that a bit smaller here. So this is how I get the base color. Sometimes if I want to have a completely opaque color, I also use the color fill. We'll quickly show that maybe on a new layer just with the eye. So I want the eye to be white. And if you go to selection and then freehand and tap color fill, and then you just do this and tap the color, voila, you can see you've got your white. Maybe show that again here on his haven't looked up the word, on his fluke fin. I don't know. So that's a very quick and easy way, though it doesn't give you a lot of texture. Okay, so what I also do is to add up quite a lot of texture when I color in Procreate. So I have this base color here. And let's see, maybe I will duplicate that to have it a bit more opaque. Pinch these together. I will add a clipping mask, and I will use that same blue I've used before and set that layer here to, let's go with linear burn, and I will be using one of my alcohol ink stamps. Oh, that's a new set I'm working on, but it's not done yet, so I will just be using, I don't know, let's use this stamp here. And as you can see, make it a bit bigger. Adjust the size afterwards. As you can see, this adds immediate texture. You could also distort or warp this stamp if you so like. I feel it's quite nice, maybe with that liquify tool. Make that a bit smaller. I like that you have this kind of texture around his eyes. I will adapt that stamp a bit. So I often use darker stamps, and then I also use, maybe I will use a darker tone for that. There is one brush I particularly like, and I've called that my smudgy diamonds. You get that when you take my latest Skillshare classes, and this just adds some kind of irregular dots here. Okay, and then maybe what else would I do here? I think I will have, sorry, that's my scanner, he's just shutting down. Do you say shutting down? I don't know. I will be using this blue here again, and then I set that to screen, and I will be using another. Oh no, let's see. Let's use the scratch brush. So the stamp set is the brush set is the, here it is, SK for Skillshare texture JU illustrations. Anyways, and then you have these scratches, and I will add these white scratches, and I feel that uniform. Can't see them properly, can't see them too much here. But this is something I really like, this scratchy look. So I duplicated it to make it more obvious, maybe one more time. So, and here now you can really see how it looks. Okay, so maybe we'll just duplicate that stamp because I'm kind of lazy right now, and drag it down here, which gives me yet another dark area here. And what else? I feel he needs something light, so again, I will go to screen and maybe use one of my alcohol stems here again. So let's see. Oh yes, I like that. So I will add that to the fish as well. Yes, and that's the way I slowly build up texture. I honestly work quite a while on these illustrations, so I can't really tell you how long this will take, but I think at least 2 hours, even though it can be done very quickly. But I will probably work on it for quite a while. Now, I will also show you how you can add some shading. You do that by using a layer and then setting that to multiply. And I've often seen people use a desaturated purple. I'm not quite sure yet whether I really like that or not, so sometimes I'm tending to a blue or some kind of other color, but I will go with the desaturated purple right now. And then under his, I really have to look that word up, under his, you know, this thingy here, I will paint shadow, which I will also smudge a bit, at least around here, and then maybe one sharper edge right beneath the thingy. Okay, so this is how you would add some shading, which immediately, of course, makes it more interesting to look at. Okay, maybe find a new color for, at least for the white in here. I will use my pink, and then I will set that to alpha lock. And if I now paint on it, I just paint on that part here. And I feel, just remove the alpha lock, I also want it to be pink down here. And here, and maybe here as well. Which brush am I actually using? Oh, the thick Goopy paint. This is by Woolly Pronto. This is a brush I also like quite a lot, though you can't really see its lovely texture right now. Okay, this is getting better. Now I would also add a clipping mask to this, and then again go and add some stems, and maybe it's not ideal that I have his eye not on a separate layer, so I will just cut that out, cut and paste. So the white of the eye shouldn't be a clipping mask, it's just here now. So the white of the eye is not on the same layer as this pink here. So let's see. I will start with a light stamp, and what else do I have here? Here's my set. Maybe I would just use this. Oh, that's nice. This is a pattern brush. I like that. Okay, and then maybe with the texture stamp, I will set that to linear burn and add a darker part here. Oh, maybe multiply is better. Yes. Linear burn tends to, sometimes, at least I feel that it tends to be a bit orangey. This one as well. Let me just quickly, I will just desaturate that a bit. Maybe you get a feel for why it takes me so long to color these. I'm confused. Where are the hue saturation brightness? There it is. So bump that down, make it a bit brighter. Not a huge fan, but kind of works. Maybe another, what could I add? I have the crosshead here, so how does that look? Stamp, you can't really tell. Just makes it darker here. No, I don't like that. But maybe only over here. Okay, so I feel he needs a bit more white, so I will be adding one more layer here. I'm saying white, but what I actually mean is a lighter part. Could also be a very light blue. And maybe we'll use this brush here and just add in some strokes, maybe around his eye as well. I always like brushes that can get kind of irregular there, like this one. I'm also not a huge fan of the eye, so I will try to paint actually above the line work, on top of the line work. And I will be using another of Lisa Glance's brushes. I will be using the burn pencil. Or maybe I won't. It doesn't look too good. Maybe we'll use dry ink. Because I feel that it might look a bit better if I were to work on that eye for a while. Maybe add something here. Maybe he just needs a highlight in his eye. Use an off-white. Oh yes, that's a bit better, though I will turn down the opacity a bit. Okay, so I think you have gotten the gist of it. I won't bore you and show all of the other algae, etc. as well. Essentially what I do is to mostly get rid of the background of the line work after I scanned it in, change the color of the line work, and then work with color underneath it, and also add a lot of clipping masks and a lot of stamps to really build up that kind of texture. Okay, so that's it for now. I hope to see you again. I'm planning a video on the creation of that bigger illustration I was talking about this underwater illustration, and I really hope I will find enough time to do that, because sometimes that's just not the case. I don't have enough time, but I will try my best. So maybe I will see you for that video, and if you like the video, give it a thumbs up and consider to subscribe. See you. Bye.